Led Zeppelin. What do they actually sound like? This actually sounds like the show where I figure out what influential music actually sounds like. I'm Jim Lill. I'm a musician in Nashville. And I made a couple YouTube videos. So the point of this show is filling in the gaps, catching up, and doing things that can only be done by actually hearing the music itself, not just paying attention to how cool the t-shirts look. And Led Zeppelin is definitely one of those bands where I've seen a lot of t-shirts and I have not heard a lot of their music. I just haven't been exposed to a ton of it. So this is a perfect example of when someone says, "Hey, Jim, yeah, do like a Led Zeppelin. Oh, Jim, do you love Jimmy Page? How about Jimmy Page?" And I'm just like, gosh, I have no idea. I'm really sorry. So this will cure all that, or at least do a lot of the work toward curing all of that. And that brings us to the first segment. What the heck does Jim know? What the heck does Jim know? And for this, this is going to be a longer one than most because I actually know less about Led Zeppelin than probably a lot of the other bands. But before the show, I did a bunch of research. I woke up this morning and I read about Jimmy Page guitars for 4 hours. Because I'm a bit of a psycho, but it's going to be worth it. The reason I did that is because in the last two episodes, the Metallica one and then the Pantera one that's the B-side on Patreon, the whole episode, I had the ability to go in and like actually mess with the guitar sounds. And I really liked doing that. That was really fun to have just like a Pantera guitar sound with me. So if I needed to pick something out, it was like right there and it felt good. So I went down this huge rabbit hole. And I'm going to take you with me on this rabbit hole. So, so you can see my screen if you're watching the video right now. And really all I wanted to know is just what's their most famous song with their most famous guitar tones so that I can copy that and then have that with me for this whole record so that you can hear that if I'm trying to pluck something out. I don't sound like, I actually sound somewhat like whatever Jimmy Page sounds like. So that brings us to what would naturally be a segment, reading the Wikipedia. Ready? Most people do this first and then shoot the video, pretend that they're an expert, but I guess I did it this morning. So this morning I typed in Led Zeppelin Wikipedia, Led Zeppelin Wikipedia, and clicked on it and then went down to discography and clicked on Led Zeppelin discography, went to singles, and then just looked at them. And they were actually way less singles than I thought there were. I know that John Bonham died in 1980. He was the drummer, and I know that they stopped being a band after that. And so there was like a limited amount of time they could have spent as a band together. But I didn't know just how, over those 10 years, 11 years, I guess, how few singles there were. So there was Good Times, Bad Times, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Whole Lotta Love, Immigrant Song, Gallows Pole, Black Dog, Stairway to Heaven, Rock and Roll, Over the Hills and Far Away, Dier Makur, no idea what that is, The Ocean, Trampled Underfoot, Candy Store Rock, Fool in the Rain, Traveling Riverside Blues. Actually, no, Traveling Riverside Blues doesn't count. That was 1990. That's posthumous. So it was just like those. How many is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14. That's it. And of those 14, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those got any amount of certification, like silver, gold, platinum, that kind of thing from BPI, RIAA, or RMNZ. So that's not really a lot. That's actually going to make it pretty easy for me to just go through and like pick the most famous songs. Sometimes that's been difficult with like Rolling Stones and Beatles and stuff, but their most famous one looks like Stairway to Heaven. And so I listened to a little bit of Stairway to Heaven, and I'd forgotten it starts on acoustic, and a lot of the song is acoustic. So I was like, okay, maybe not that one. After that, it would be Whole Lotta Love. So I listened to Whole Lotta Love, and I was like, sweet, it starts out with guitar. That's an iconic lick. I know I've heard that lick before, so let's do that one. So where would anyone start if they wanted to know what amp Jimmy Page used on Whole Lotta Love? You would type in Whole Lotta Love Jimmy Page amp. And awesome, Jimmy Page reveals his Whole Lotta Love amp. It's the first result. Like the search engine worked. That's crazy. And it's a guitar magazine and it's an interview from 2020. So perfect. The amplifier on the first Led Zeppelin album is the Supro Coronado 1690T. He confirms. It fits great with the Telecaster, but with the Gibson Les Paul, it was a really overdriven sound, right? And when I started doing studio work, I realized that was a bit too radical for them at the time. Okay, so I don't know anything about Jimmy Page or his career or his gear or whatever. So this is like brand new information to me. So I start storing this stuff away. Okay, Supra Coronado. Don't know what that is. Telecaster. So he used a Telecaster. Gibson Les Paul. So he used a Gibson Les Paul. We'll continue. I got what everyone else was getting so that psychologically it looked right, which was a Burns amplifier. Don't know what that is, which I had during the studio days. But when Paul Samwell Smith left the Yardbirds, he left his equipment behind. The Vox amplifier heads. I know them as Super Beetles. I know what a Super Beetle is, because I did my big guitar amp video, and so I did research on Vox amps, and Super Beetles came after the Beatles made it like really, really big, and they were big amps that had a lot of power, but I think that they were like hybrid or solid state or something, and people ended up hating them. That would be weird if you used a Super Beetle. The way that I heard about those amplifiers was the Beatles had them because they couldn't hear their instruments over all the screaming, so they wanted louder amplifiers, and Vox duly obliged. I think that's true. I think that Vox made AC100s, and then the like American half of Vox made Super Beetles and named them Super Beetles and produced them, but I could be wrong about that. Page then reveals that the amp you're really hearing on one of Zeppelin's most iconic hits is in fact the same amp the Fab Four had been using for their larger tours. I was using the Super Beetle amps with the Rickenbacker Transonic cabinets, he recalls. That's exactly what's on Whole Lotta Love. Sweet. Problem solved. Completely answered, right? Well, let's continue. It was only once the band began to tour more intensely that Page switched to his iconic Marshall setup, primarily because it was easier to get a hold of replacement gear. Okay, iconic Marshall setup. So Jimmy Page is one of the people that used a bunch of Marshall amps in the 1970s and helped make them iconic. By the time we get to 1969, we've got so much work ahead of us, and the road manager is getting really, really nervous about the amplifier going down and not getting a replacement, Page reflects. So they're saying, well, everyone else has got Marshalls. So I went to Hiwatt Custom 100s. So let's remember that. Hiwatt Custom 100s. That's like another thing that Jimmy Page, I guess, would be known for, that he used, before I went to the Marshalls. But then I did go to Marshall because what they'd said was absolutely true. If it broke down somewhere, you'd be able to find a shop that would have one. Once I'd done the second album, Marshall is being used by the end of those tracks recorded in New York. I got those during that 69 tour, so maybe Heartbreaker, which I'm guessing was a song by Led Zeppelin, was done on a Marshall, and that's how it stayed, with the Marshall cabinet all the way through. The full interview spans Page's entire career, with insight and exclusive photos of the gear and recording behind some of Led Zeppelin's greatest albums. Well, full interview, let's click on that. In this all-encompassing 2020 interview, Led Zeppelin, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's a picture of a Telecaster. So he used a Telecaster and it had these little mirrors on it. That's something. But down here, and of course, there are a lot of stories behind the guitars. One guitar in particular, your 1960 Gibson Les Paul Black Beauty Custom, has an amazing story. So he has a Black Beauty Custom. The first time I played it, I had such a connection with it, I thought, this is it. After all the searching and going through guitar shops, this is the one. I got it before I went to art college, so when I started doing studio work, that's the electric that's used on pretty much all of that work. You also played it during Led Zeppelin's famous concert at London's Royal Albert Hall in January 1970, so Led Zeppelin must have done a famous concert at Royal Albert Hall in January 1970. I know there's a guitar pedal called the Royal Albert Hall. I figured it was a reverb to create like Royal Albert Hall ambience or something. In this process, I figured out that's an overdrive pedal meant to mimic this guy's overdrive. Yes, and at the tail end when we did some Eddie Cochran stuff, and after the Albert Hall, I thought I'd take it to the States with me on one of the tours, and we'd just do this rock and roll stuff at the end, the Eddie Cochran stuff with the Bigsby. So the story is that I take it over there, we're going to Minneapolis, going to Montreal, and we arrive in Montreal, but the guitar doesn't. It disappears in Minneapolis. I realized it was lost or stolen. Okay, so that black guitar was stolen sometime in 1970 when they were touring in America, going from Minneapolis to Montreal. But before that, he had it. So presumably, that would be the Les Paul that he used. If he was using a Les Paul on any of the Led Zeppelin stuff before 1970, then that's the guitar he would be using. Whole Lotta Love, let's look at the discography. It was 1969, recorded 14 to 19 April 1969, 28 to 30 April 1969. But also there was that Telecaster. The thing about that is Jeff Beck gave me a Telecaster, the one he played in the Yardbirds for a while, but I was still doing sessions, and he gave me that as a gift. And once I went into the Yardbirds, I was playing that Telecaster. Bit by bit, I started to customize it. I put some mirrors on it. I really wanted to make the guitar my own. People had started painting guitars at that point, and I thought, well, I'd like to paint mine and really consecrate it, so that guitar is absolutely my own. So I went about painting it with the dragon artwork. All that art school training didn't finally go to waste. This was a guitar I was using in the Yardbirds, so when Jeff left, I had the one with the mirrors, and then I painted it, and that painted guitar goes through from the Yardbirds through Led Zeppelin. Okay, cool. So we have that painted mirror-covered Telecaster that was played on some Led Zeppelin stuff, and then we have that black Les Paul that would have been played on Led Zeppelin stuff if he was playing a Les Paul. But wait, there's more. Les Paul number 1 and number 2 are your famous Sunburst standards. What are the differences between them in terms of setup and more than anything, how they feel when you're playing them? The first one has got quite a shallow neck, and that's how it was when I had it. I've often wondered if it had been refinished when I had it by Joe Walsh, who sold it to me, so he bought that number 1 from Joe Walsh. He had more than one Les Paul at the time and obviously decided to let this one go, but this was the neck that was on it. On the other one, they're all played differently. They weren't consistent on the 50s ones. There's a definite difference in the feel and the tension between the two of them. I'm not so sure whether the neck is quite so shallow on number 2, but it's got one of those big clunky ones, and tonally it's different as well. However, that's the one I started to experiment on so I could do all various combinations, parentheses coil tapping, with the push-pull switch. Alright, so we got 3 Les Pauls. We have the black one that was stolen in 1970. We have the one he bought from Joe Walsh that's number 1 that he's apparently most famous for. And then there's number 2, which I'm assuming came after the one that he bought from Joe Walsh. But then there were 12 strings. I gather you used 2 12 strings, the Fender Electric 12 and the Vox Phantom 12 on Stairway to Heaven. That's right, the Vox one, I had that in the Yardbirds. So a lot of the stuff in the Yardbirds, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Sailor, and all those things were done on that. And then I got the Fender one a little later. I think I got that when I came back from America the first time I visited. So basically I had 2 electric 12 strings, and on Stairway I wanted to use both of them. So I'd have one panned left and one right. And then he talks about his double neck, which he used live, but I don't care about live right now. But here we go, this is when it gets good. The first album was totally based around the Telecaster, and that's what it was. Just a Supro Coronado 1690T amp, a Sola Sound Tone Bender overdrive, an Echoplex EP3 tape delay, and a Vox wah-wah. So it's really very minimal, and it's not going through different amps, just this one amplifier. So it really goes to show with all the tones just how much there was that you could get out of one guitar. And that's basically what it was that I had. I wasn't using the Black Beauty or anything like that, and as it went on, the second album was clearly going to be all about the Les Paul guitar. Okay, so the thing here, I wasn't using the Black Beauty or anything like that. The second album was clearly going to be all about the Les Paul guitar, so it implies that it was the Black Beauty Les Paul, right? But again, it's the large stereo picture of everything that's going on, whether it's panning things or positioning or whatever, or where things come in or go out, and what's tracked and what isn't tracked. Things were moving very fast for you in the band at the time. The first album was done in a very short time. The second album was done while we were on the road in America, although we were coming backwards and forwards to England, so it's got all the energy of touring. The first 2 songs that I had for Led Zeppelin 2 were Whole Lotta Love and What Is and What Should Never Be. Okay, cool. I care about one of those 2 songs, for sure. So those were the first 2 songs that they had for Led Zeppelin 2, so that was on Led Zeppelin 2. Alright, here's where we talk about guitar amps. If we can talk about amplification, at what point did you move on to Marshall? Here's how it goes. You need to take notes or you're going to get lost. Basically what happens is, the amplifier on the first Led Zeppelin album is the Supro Coronado 1690T amplifier. But I got that way back when I was in art school with Neil Christian and the Crusaders. That had quite a journey to it. It fits great with the Telecaster, but the Gibson Les Paul, it was a really overdriven sound, right? And when I started doing studio work, I realized that that was a bit too radical for them at the time. What were you doing during the recording sessions for Led Zeppelin 2? I was using the Super Beetle amps with the Rickenbacker Trisonic cabinets, so that's exactly what's on Whole Lotta Love. So the first album's got the Supro, the second album, as I said, I wanted to change the whole sound character, so that's what I was using. I was using what was really meaty, and what I was using on stage, and what I arrived at once I had the Les Paul Standard, once I had the Les Paul Standard, once I had the Les Paul Standard. The Black Les Paul isn't a standard, it's the Black Beauty Custom. There's nothing standard about it, it's a very custom guitar. So after reading this, I read like 20 more articles, and there were little tiny contradictions and stuff, and finally I found actual pictures by just searching Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin, studio pictures. Images, and then here we go. And would you look at that? This is a Vox amp, but it's not a Super Beetle. These are the Rickenbacker Transonic cabinets. There's some piece of gear back here, and then he's playing a Les Paul, but this is not a Black Beauty Les Paul. This is a Les Paul standard, so presumably this would be number 1. And here's another picture farther out. You can see the setup over here, Bonham's drum kit, and then this Marshall amp over here with the bass headstock laying on the ground right there, assuming that this is the bass setup for John Paul Jones. And then this is another angle. The actual amp that he was using wasn't a Super Beetle. It was a Vox UL4120 hybrid amplifier, KT88 tube amp right here. That's what this amp was. Look what he's doing here. He's lifting the lid off of this piece of gear. So this isn't a guitar amp. It took me so long to figure this out. That's a tape echo. It wasn't an Echoplex. Like everything I found said Echoplex, but it's actually a Vox tape echo. Right here, Vox Long Tom Tape Echo. I have no idea why it's called that, but this is absolutely what that piece of gear is. Yeah, here's another view of it. So you can see it right there, and then right there. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarter-inch jacks in a black section, and then 4 knobs and a switch in the white section. Absolutely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 and a switch. You got those 4 black push buttons. 4 black push buttons. This is totally it. So, okay, cool, perfect. I know what I need now. I need a humbucker guitar, and I need some kind of amp that's kind of like a Super Beetle into what looks like a vertical 212 Rickenbacker cab. I can do that. I have one of these. So this is a Gibson guitar. It has a humbucker in the bridge. The spacing's going to be about the same. I think I'm probably good to go, right? But I got kind of curious. Is this number 1? Is this Les Paul Standard Jimmy Page's number 1 that he bought from Joe Walsh in 1969 for $1,200. I read that he bought it from Joe Walsh on an early North American tour, so Led Zeppelin tours. List of Led Zeppelin concert tours. Their first North American tour started in December 1968, and then their second North American tour started spring 1969. So let's look at those. And we got dates. At the time, Joe Walsh was not famous. He was playing for James Gang. James Gang was an American rock band formed in Cleveland, Ohio in 1966. And according to this, almost all of their shows were in Ohio or maybe some in Michigan. So let's see. Command F, Led Zepp. Okay. July 20th, 1969, Music Carnival, Warrensville Heights, Ohio, with Led Zeppelin. That's the first result on the page. Second result, October 30th, Kleinen's Music Hall, Buffalo, New York, with Led Zeppelin. Third result, Syracuse, New York, with Led Zeppelin, November 1st, 1969. But all of that would have been after Whole Lotta Love was recorded, and presumably after that picture was taken. So how do we know when the picture was taken?
So this image, Jimmy, you're in the studio.
Yeah.
And you're working on which song here?
Well, I can tell you now, because, okay, so there was this house that I had where we rehearsed Led Zeppelin 1, and then we've toured around, and then we go in to my house again and we rehearse Whole Lot of Love, What Is and What Should Never Be, and we go to this studio where we recorded the first album. It's called Olympic Studios. And now I know exactly what it is that is being recorded here, and with these sort of new remaster packages that have come out, there's companion discs, and on Led Zeppelin 2 there's a track called La La. Now then, this is the acoustic guitar part being put on La La, and there's the organ which is part of La La as well.
So this was from the session that Whole Lotta Love was recorded, and if you look right here, you'd have to look really close, and I don't know if I can zoom very well, but it says April 19th, Studio 1, Olympic Studios, Barnes, London, UK. So this was the setup for Whole Lotta Love. This was the bass amp, this was the microphone, this was the drum kit, this was the guitar, this was the guitar amp, this was the guitar cab, this was the tape echo, this was a cabinet maybe just for the tape echo, or maybe it was like a second cabinet for the guitar, I don't really know. But most importantly, we have this April 19th date that he had that guitar. April 19th. Their spring tour started April 24th. It couldn't have been any of these dates that he got the guitar from Joe Walsh. So it couldn't have been any of these dates listed where the James Gang shared the bill with Led Zeppelin. It had to have been before that, right? So maybe Joe Walsh went to a nearby Led Zeppelin show because he was a fan and met Jimmy Page there. Well, they lived in Ohio and they never came to Ohio. The nearest that they got was Detroit on January 17th, 18th, 19th. The problem is James Gang had gigs those nights. They were in Kent, Ohio on January 16th and 17th, and then Youngstown, Ohio on January 18th and 19th. So this is a Sunburst Les Paul standard. Jimmy Page is playing it. He's playing it on Whole Lotta Love, and he's playing it on April 19th, 1969. I don't know how he could have bought this from Joe Walsh, though, because Joe Walsh was camped out in Ohio. These guys were in England, and they'd only ever done one tour in America at this point. And I don't see how any of those dates or locations line up. But that's okay, because he used a Les Paul of some kind. We see it right there. It had a humbucker in the bridge. This has a humbucker in the bridge. So I have something to work with here. And then as far as the amp goes, it's this Vox Super Beetle, but it's not a Super Beetle. It's a different kind of amp. It's the ML4120 or something like that. So what is that amp? I don't know anything about that amp, but I downloaded the circuit diagram. So the main thing I'm looking for here is anything unexpected that might affect the tone in a weird way as far as frequency response and where the distortion is happening. So this is the preamp of the 430, 460, and 4120 watt bass amplifiers, front end stage. So it has a normal and a bass. These two are completely identical. So I'm not worried about like which channel did he plug into. And I started scanning through here looking for the knobs, and I found the mid knob right here, which is weird. I don't recognize this kind of circuit at all. The volume pot's right here. And then all the way over here, there's the treble and there's the bass. So this is strange, and there's no amp that I know of in the modeler I use that would copy this kind of thing exactly. But this treble and bass looks kind of like a Vox top boost. It makes sense because it's a Vox amp. And I'm just going to have to ignore this mid pot. It's going to be okay though. The other thing would be this Rickenbacker cabinet. So this is actually a really big 212 that stands vertically. And again, I don't think my modeler has anything that has anything to do with these. It had Altec 417 speakers. My modeler doesn't have anything built in with Altec 417 speakers, but it's a 212, and to me, this mic looks like a Sennheiser 421. So I started with that as a bass, and then I knew, okay, I'm just gonna have to like make my own cabinet simulation, so I did that. But not before finding this archive of an article called Mixing Led Zeppelin with the guy who mixed Led Zeppelin, Eddie Kramer, who I know of because of the Eddie Kramer channel plugin, but I had no idea who he was other than that. So this guy mixed it, and he talked about all the different studios that everything was recorded at. That doesn't really matter for this because we know where Whole Lotta Love was recorded. He says the electric guitars were probably recorded with Shure SM57s. They weren't, at least not in that picture. And he says the biggest change between recording the first and second albums from a guitar perspective was that Page had replaced the 58 Fender Telecaster and modified Supro Coronado amp used on the former with a 58 Gibson Les Paul Standard and a Marshall stack. We know it wasn't a Marshall stack, we've seen the pictures, but it was a Les Paul Standard. Kramer and Page mixed Led Zeppelin 2 in 2 days at A&R Studio in New York City using a Scully 280 1-inch 8-track tape machine and custom-built mixing console that Kramer recalls having a dozen or fewer channels and only 2 pan pots. In several cases, Kramer had to edit together parts of songs that had been recorded in more than one location before mixing could begin. This included inserting Page's unaccompanied guitar solo into Whole Lotta Love. So Whole Lotta Love has a spliced-in guitar solo that had to have been recorded at some other point. So I'm not going to worry about the guitar solo, we're just thinking about the intro tone. And here, reverb was generated via 3 giant EMT 140 plates, and delay was achieved using a 3-head reel-to-reel tape recorder. The delay results from the time it takes the tape to physically travel between the record and playback heads. The two effects were also combined to add pre-delay to the reverb so that the initial attack of an instrument or voice could be heard distinctly before the reverb kicked in. And they did this, they totally did this on the intro of Whole Lotta Love because the guitar is left, the reverb's right, and you can hear it takes a little bit of time for the guitar signal to get to the reverb signal. Okay, so with all of that in mind, with those 4 hours I spent doing that, here's what I did. So this is what I ended up with. This is Whole Lotta Love. You can hear the guitar on the left, and then you can hear the reverb in the right. So for the reverb, I found the article that said it was an EMT 140 plate, and I have one of those. So this is an EMT 140 plate, and I set some pre-delay because I hear pre-delay. I have it set all the way to the right with this balance control because it lets me do that. And then when I A-B'd those, it was pretty thick and like annoying, and so the Whole Lotta Love one is more high-passed. So I high-passed it. And I used this gain control over here to actually cut even more low frequencies. And that got me pretty close to where I wanted to be. But then for the tone itself, I have this Helix Native plugin, and I have an AC30 amplifier because he would have been using a Vox amplifier that had a similar tone circuit, although the one that he used had a mid control. This one doesn't. I'm just ignoring that because there's nothing else closer. And then I made a custom impulse response for the cab. All of that put together leaves me with this. Again, this is the original by them. And this is the one by me. So I feel pretty good about that for someone who's not a Led Zeppelin or Jimmy Page fan. All right, so I have that guitar tone now, and I can play through it and have tons of fun. But I also have all the other guitar tones that I've made so far, and I can A-B between them. All right, so I'm just going to record it. I'm using my normal reverb. Other than that, this is the Led Zeppelin guitar tone. Okay, how does that compare to my normal guitar chain? Okay, so I'm much darker than that. How does that compare to Metallica? Okay, much more overdriven and maybe a little bit darker. How does that compare to Pantera? Let's go through them all. We got me, Metallica, Pantera, and Led Zeppelin. There are a lot of guitar tones out there. All right, so aside from all of that, other stuff I know about Led Zeppelin is I know they did Stairway to Heaven. I know they did Whole Lotta Love. I had to learn Black Dog for a show. I know their song Rock and Roll. It's been a long time since I rock and roll. I know that one. I know that Good Times, Bad Times is big for drummers. And I know Kashmir because that's like in movie trailers and stuff. And then the other one that I know that I actually like is When the Levee Breaks. I can groove to When the Levee Breaks. I think that that one's pretty sick. I think that the drums are great. I think that of all the Jimmy Page guitars I've heard, that one is the one that is like most satisfying for me to listen to. But normally, I'm not a guy who goes for... This isn't the sound that I would ever pick for myself. But I'm excited to learn. So I'm going to go through this Wikipedia page. I'm going to go through all these songs, and it looks like it should be pretty easy to get the ones that are certified. And I'm going to open new tabs. So I'm going to do that instantaneously. Here we go. All right, cool. We got the songs. Good Times, Bad Times, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Dazed and Confused, Whole Lotta Love, Immigrant Song, Black Dog, Stairway to Heaven, Rock and Roll, Over the Hills and Far Away, Diyar Maker, I don't know what that is yet. And then I'm including Kashmir. It didn't chart and get certified at the time, but it did in 2007, and I know Kashmir is a really big song. This leaves off When the Levee Breaks. I've heard that before. That's on a playlist that I work out to sometimes, and so that is one I'm familiar with. If you want me to do another Led Zeppelin episode, then we can get to all those later. But for now, these are going to be the songs. It is 11 songs. And that means it's time to do the tradition we do every episode, which is saying the pledge of Actually Sounds Like. Say it with me. I pledge to accept everything I'm about to hear as the truth of what the music actually is, regardless of any words, associations, connotations, and cultural opinions that entered my brain first. Let's listen to some Good Times, Bad Times. Alright, dry drums. Double track lead vocals. Guitars left and right. Guitars are pretty, like... It doesn't sound like he's hitting the strings very hard, for sure. I know this would have been a different guitar, different amp, whatever, but I'm just curious. So different keys, lots of different keys. I can see how these drums compared to like, I think this is the same time that like the end, like roughly the end of the Beatles was happening. And so I can see how in that context, this would be like way different from that at least. Okay, so all of this is just a step up. They brick wall a step up at the end of the turnaround before verse 2. Oh, a little bit of panning trickery there. Start that note on the right, have it go over to the left. It sounds like it's like a univibe or something. Maybe there's some kind of warbly effect. Maybe that's the wah pedal they were talking about, but it doesn't really sound wah-ish to me. Oh, I hear that double kick there. That's cool. I did know that about this song, that it had like fast kick drum. So that's the start of the Led Zeppelin sound. Very cool. So that production definitely sounded kind of 60s into 70s, and it felt like the drum kit was kind of minimally mic'd and stuff, and it's just them playing. But one thing I want to show is that double kick thing, because I think it's just kind of fun and cool, and I don't know if it originated here, but if he was using a single pedal, which I think he was, then there's like a thing you can do where you kind of like hit the pedal with your heel and then hit it again with your toe as it rebounds. And I have a drum kit here, so I'll just... Sorry about the butt cam. I don't have a way to get a camera down there so you can just like see my foot. Hopefully you could see some of what I was doing and you could hear it. And also I have my ridiculous EQ from the Metallica episode a couple episodes ago. So that was probably a really giant kick drum. But with that, we'll move on to Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. Okay, acoustic pan right with reverb. A little Stairway to Heaven-y, don't you think? Ooh, a lot of reverb on the vocal. Reverb's big and vocal's close.
Baby, I'm gonna leave you.
Are they not in 440? Or am I not in 440?
I said, baby, you know I'm gonna leave you.
It's my acoustic, it's not them.
I'll leave you when the summertime. Leave you when the summer comes rolling. Leave you when the summer comes along. Baby,
Got 1 minor to 4 minor.
baby, I wanna leave you. I ain't joking, woman, I've got to ramble.
It's that same kind of rundown thing of like 1, flat 7, 6,
Oh, yeah.
down to flat 6 and 5.
Baby, I will be there.
Less key changes so far.
Got to ramble. I can hear it calling me the way it used to do. I can hear it calling me back home.
Okay, Robert Plant's going for it. Oh. Is that a slide? Slide with big reverb? Those are Beatles guitars. Like those acoustic guitars are just kind of like jangly, like big, hard-hitting Beatles type guitars.
I can hear it calling. I said, don't you hear
yeah, it's classic rock. So we're 3 minutes 20 seconds in, and this is where the song feels like it should end to me, a modern human being, and we are halfway to.
I know I never gonna leave you, babe.
This reinforces my feelings of Robert Plant. Like, he can do cool stuff with his voice, and he's very flamboyant and very theatrical. Bonham's hitting hard. Just like riding on the crash cymbal. And I like the bass tones from the last two songs too. Oh, playing as well.
Good to have you back again, and I know that one day, baby, it's gonna really grow.
That sounds like a buzz
We're
bridge.
gonna go walking through the park every day. Like I say, every day.
Man, they're going up and down so many times. Like, normally there's kind of a flow to the music where there's like a couple low points and a couple high points, and then this is they're like going back and forth. And there's not a lot of like lyrical progression between the two. It's kind of just like Robert Plant's making stuff up.
You made me happy every single day. But now I've got to go away.
And they're up again. Little slide outs.
That's when it's calling me. I said that's when it's calling me back home.
Oh. Oh. Cool. There are some songs like with the Pantera stuff and the Metallica stuff where I just think like, oh my gosh, that's so much memorization. This is so meticulous. All the work that they put into like nailing all of these licks and being able to double them and everything. And then there's stuff with the Beatles like Something by George Harrison where it was like, this is such a cool like composition. It just feels nice and everything kind of works together and stuff, even when the playing isn't super technical and maybe not the most like planned out or whatever. And obviously there's stuff like Yesterday, Paul McCartney, where it's just like, this song is just so satisfying, so good. And all of those things are very intimidating in their own ways. And this feels very much more like, yeah, I see how people did that. You know, like I've benefited from this existing before me for 50 years or however long it's been. So like, I think that things have kind of taken after a lot of things in this to the point where this is not, to me, like the most mind-blowing, can't believe this exists sort of thing. It's a band and they're playing together and it absolutely sounds like a band playing together. And then as far as any of the like little production tricks, like the panning left to right and doing a volume swell and having some kind of slide thing. I don't know a slide, but this is a capo. Just like that kind of thing. I think I read Jimmy Page use a theremin sometimes, so maybe it was a theremin. I feel like it was just a slide. But all that stuff, I can kind of wrap my head around that. and I can see how they did that. So I feel like is this from the first album? Let's see. Led Zeppelin. Yeah, Led Zeppelin 1. So these two are both from the first album, and so is the next one. Yeah, I can see how those kind of came together. And I'm curious how Dazed and Confused sounds. If I remember right, this is like a super slow, like, blues song. And Robert Plant is kind of like, to me in my head, almost like John Fogerty, where just like it kind of almost doesn't matter what the notes are or what the words are. It's just he makes this sound come out of his face that's really high and really yelly, and you instantly know what that is. And if you like that, that's instantly endearing. That, like, it's just like a proud Mary, keep on burning. Like, he just goes crazy. Robert Plant, I see, is in that category of guys where it's just, you can tell who he is within 1 second of him singing. He just throws paint on the canvas, but he's Robert Plant. And so it just sounds that way. Dazed and Confused. Oh, we got some panning tricks, and I'm guessing that's a wah pedal. Yeah. If it was like a tremolo or a... Yeah. Yeah, so that vocal, being able to come in like that is worth like millions of dollars.
Lots of people talking, few of them know. Soul of a woman was created below.
Yeah, this is cool. This is great. I like this. Where is it? I have no idea what key this is. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. That's right. Cool lick. Cool drum fill. It sounds like all room mics on that drum kit. Like when the toms sound so papery like that, that feels like the mic is like way off of them and they don't have a lot of low end to them. They're just upper mid. Whoa. Whoa. Doing the volume swells. Sorry for polluting it. I was doing swells too. I don't know if he had a volume pedal. He might have had a volume pedal doing that, or maybe he was just like slapping the string against the fret and then using that energy to create the sound and then rolling the volume knob up like I was doing just now. And then obviously going into a ton of reverb. Like maybe even just reverb, I don't know. And I have no idea what that sound is. Wow, wow, wow. I would guess a tremolo or like a univibe turned all the way up in speed, but then there's also a wah in there. That's like a manual thing that you would do with your foot. Alright, so now we're at the 3:30 point where I'm like, yeah, song's over. And we're halfway done. And they're going into a completely different feel. So they got these unison bends. Okay. What's funny is I heard some of those licks in like Dimebag Darrell. Like the it's just that Dimebag Darrell did them like a lot cleaner than this. Cleaner execution, not tone. That's an interesting way to do that. Huh. Where's the bass guitar? I hear drums, I hear guitar. Oh, I kind of hear it. Yeah, this drum sound is very not Metallica. Like polar opposite. It's just all mid-range. The kick drum's all mid-range. The toms are all mid-range. Even like the bass guitar doesn't have that much low end to it. This is very like low end, like a mix that doesn't have a lot of low end to it. Low end light. So this part's great. There's like a lick and they can repeat it and then bam, bam, bam. Like that's really cool and that sticks in my head. I remembered that from having heard the song maybe like a couple times in my life. Cool drum ideas, rhythmic like themes. They're repeating those. That's cool. Robert Plant, I don't know what he's doing. Man, that's the thing. Singers who don't play an instrument, they get bored. And they just can't help themselves. Drummer's like, hey, I have an idea. I'm going to do this thing. We're going to do it like 18 times so I can like build on it and stuff. The singer's like, I'm bored. Woo, woo, woo. That's been in a lot of stuff where the singer doesn't play an instrument and so they just get bored. That happened with Mick Jagger a whole ton in the Rolling Stones stuff. Is like he would just start making noises. Phil Anselmo in the Pantera episode, like I don't think he played guitar and so he would just be making noises. There'd be some heavy Dimebag lick and then I mean for him he was so angry sounding it kind of worked, but like, you know, he would just be making sounds during intros or whatever. I love the feel of this. I think that the verse, when Robert Plant comes in, this is the ability to do that, the ability to sound like that, almost nothing else matters. If you can come in and sound like that on the first line of the song, you instantly have everyone's attention. You're instantaneously like someone who is high status because you can do that. Been dazed and confused. See, I can't do it. I can't sing that high. I can't sing like Robert Plant. Whole lot of love. Here we go. Oh, play it with me, everybody. Okay, a little bit more low end in the bass, I think, for this one. I know from the picture he's playing a Marshall amp. Like the bass player was playing a Marshall amp. Yeah, a little more low end in the kick. A little more low end in the toms. I don't know if it's mixing or miking or whatever. But this feels more developed. Except for the lead vocal, which feels like maybe not as strong as Dazed and Confused, or like not mixed as high. Maybe it's drier. And the way he's singing Whole Lot of Love is like Rush. It's like pushing. I don't remember the song sounding like this. I don't remember it dropping out like this. I only listened to the intro to get this guitar tone. Bongos? Hang on. Going to the wiki and I'm gonna find the bongos. John Paul Jones played bongos. John Bonham played congas and maracas. Alright, we got tape tricks. Woo, left and right. Noises. Robert Plant's doing random stuff. Put it through delays or something. Reverbs. Okay, that's like one of these. Maybe like a pick scrape, or it could be just a dork. I don't know. Oh, is that a theremin? Is that what that is? See, that note is amazing. Yeah, Jimmy Page played theremin on this. The ability to sing like that, yeah, it just forgives all sins. Whoa, that's a dry guitar. So that right side guitar, that would have been the guitar that they had to like cut in, that they had to like patch into the tape. So that would not have been the one that was recorded in the pictures we saw. Oh my god, 4 minutes, okay, and we still have 2 to go. No, I guess a minute and a half to go. Okay, if you want to sound like Led Zeppelin, you don't have to hit the hits exactly at the same time. You don't have to come in exactly, you can rush on the guitar. Someone give the baby his rattle. Robert Plant's making noises again.
I wanna be your best man. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh.
They love turning the pan pots. I'm hearing Robert Plant travel through my head. And they did that with that slide out. Sending stuff to reverb. Yeah, it's a similar feeling. I think that sounded a little bit better than the previous, like, kind of faster ones. Dazed and Confused sounded pretty cool, the groove that they had there. I like the groove in this one. Yeah, a lot of the extended outro stuff, I just definitely feel like they're improvising. Like, I feel that they're like making stuff up and just trying to make cool sounds. And especially in the mixing, I feel like they're just like, oh yeah, you want to like pan it left and right? Let's pan this one left and right too. We have these 2 pan pots on this console. Let's use those. And they did. Immigrant Song. I've heard of this, but I can't tell you what this is. Like Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. I know that's a thing, but I could not tell you exactly what it is. Here we go. Oh, I know this song. All right. Yep, that's it. Here we go. Weekly winner of the Oh That's That Song Award. So, congratulations, Led Zeppelin Immigrant Song. You get the Oh That's That Song Award. Yes, I've heard this song a million times. Bum, 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 bum. I used to listen to classic rock radio with my dad, to and from soccer practice or whatever. This was one of those songs. Here we go. F sharp. So now we have a lot of vocal delay. That sounds like tremolo, just like amp tremolo or something on the right side. Whoa, bass is awesome. I feel like the bass has an effect, or it's going to reverb, or it has like something on it. Yeah, just the one bass, so let's see what he did. And I guess it doesn't have anything on the Wikipedia. This? So that was a tight stop. Immigrant Song bass tone. Let's see if anyone has figured this out before me. Let's put quotes around bass and tone. Oh, they're doing little like nonsense chords. Just cacophony. American Idiot. Is it just... No, it's not just that. Yeah, it might kind of be close to that. Oh, and that was it. 2 minutes, 26 seconds. All right. JPJ bass tone Immigrant Song. This is a foreign. This is Mos Eisley Cantina. I heard this for the zillionth time tonight, and I was marveled at the fabulous grind he gets on this song. Any idea how he did it? And then someone says, 1953 precision bass, if I recall. His old P bass with round wounds, tone knob, any effects on the bass, and then it runs out. And that's the end of that conversation. All right, maybe it's just really overdriven bass. Who knows? On to Black Dog. So this one I actually know the lick, but it was part of a medley when I learned it, so I actually only know just the intro. I don't know where it goes after that. So I will find out. I didn't learn that part.
Mama said the way you move, gonna make you sweat,
Jesus.
gonna make you groove.
Man, I forgot how honky those guitars are. They sound like trumpets.
Burn, gonna make you stay. Hey, baby, when you walk that way, watch honey drip, can't keep away.
Yeah, delay on the vocal. The vocal is just selling it. They're a little off time. I feel like the drum engineering regressed here, or the mixing, like, because now the drum kit is still like no low end, all mid range. But that's what this sounds like. This is what this actually is. I took the pledge, so I'm accepting this. This is what John Bonham sounds like. The engineering and everything.
Dreams of you all through my head.
Man, I wonder if he even recorded through a cab for that guitar tone. That almost sounds like a direct sound. It's so buzzy, so like high frequency, distorty. Even more than this. And this tone's already like beyond what I would ever consider. But that's what Jimmy Page sounds like. I took the pledge. I accept that. The drums were like an eighth note behind the guitars, or I guess the guitars like an eighth note ahead of the drums there. Two minutes left. We're 3 minutes in and there's 2 minutes left of this. Oh, they harmonized. It grew. They progressed. Whoa. What is that sound? That's some kind of swirly, phasery thing. I remember reading about like how they use tape flanging, where they would actually duplicate it to a second tape and then kind of like vary the speed of the tape to get that warble sound. But I don't know if it was talking about this or something else they were doing. I think they were talking about vocals when I read that article. Where is he? Huh. Okay, I've been kind of skipping over the whole, like, the what's important after each song kind of thing. I've been just naming a couple of things that stick out. And this one, definitely the Robert Plant vocal with that extra, like, delay on it. And then the guitars and just how horn-like those are. Just how, like, abrasive and a little bit maybe, like, you could think of them as irritating if you weren't a fan. So that like vocal delay thing, maybe not something that everyone just knows second nature. Oh, vocal delay. What do you mean? Well, I mean this, and it sounds like this. So there's like a little bit of delay on the vocal itself, and you can mix it in however much you want to mix it in. If it's like 50%, then that gets pretty distracting. And if it's like 1%, 2%, then like it's very, very subtle, but somewhere in between there. And then you can also low pass it so that like the delay is a little bit less noticeable and it falls in the background more. And so that's kind of what I mean. This is 250 milliseconds. Theirs might be a little bit shorter than that. It might have some feedback to it where it keeps like, hey, as opposed to just like one repeat where it would be just, you know, like, hey. What are the words of this song? It's like, hey mama, by the way you move, gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove. Okay, to give a little bit of illustration of what I mean about like drum engineering, these guys worked with the tools they had and whatever, but they definitely had tools where they could have taken like a mid-range knob and turned it down on some of the drums and taken like low-end like bass knobs, turn those up on some of the drums. And just to show you, like, this is an abrasive guitar with a drum kit. And if you engineer the drums a bit more with an abrasive guitar, it could sound like this. Just as an example of like two extremely different things. For those of you who don't know, you can see my whole Pantera episode if you sign up for the B-side on the Patreon, but I'll talk about that at the end of the episode. Yeah, just two very different ways of going about it. I know that those are separated by like 20 years, 25 years or something. But this is something I'm storing in my head about like Led Zeppelin is the sounds are like, they're very just mid-rangey. And the performances are like, they're rushing and they're dragging and it's a band in a room is kind of what it feels like, which is weird because they do like all these overdubs and stuff, but it seems like a lot of the overdubs are just special effects. Like just weird stuff they're sending to reverb and like panning left and right and doing strange stuff with, but like the actual just... Like they're all apart and they're not like in full agreement of like where the downbeat is necessarily, or like where the groove is, how fast the song is. They're kind of, you know, they remind me of like a band playing in a bar or something. All right, the most like famous song ever, Stairway to Heaven. I don't think I've ever listened to this on purpose before, but I definitely know that intro. I've never actually learned it before. I've just like had it in my head before. And I don't know this part. So acoustic guitar left. What the hell are those flutes? Or like bagpipes or personnel. Jimmy Page, acoustic guitars, electric guitars. John Paul Jones, electric piano recorder. So that's a recorder.
All it glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for.
I like this acoustic guitar part more than I remembered. It feels very calm. It flows pretty well.
There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, 'cause you know sometimes words have two meanings. In a tree,
And the recorders have their moments.
there's a songbird who sings. Sometimes all of our thoughts are misgiven.
Oh, a little bit of varying it up a bit there. It shows you how much of a Led Zeppelin noob I am.
It makes me wonder.
I didn't even remember this was the same song. I know this part, but I didn't know that this was Stairway to Heaven. I didn't know this was in the same song.
There's a feeling I get
There's 12 string. There's 12 string.
Those who stand looking.
I have one of those.
Ooh, it makes me wonder. Ooh, really makes me wonder. And it's whispered that soon, if we all call the tune, then the piper will lead us to reason, and a new day will dawn for those who stand long, and the forests will echo with laughter.
All right, we're halfway through and it's 3 minutes 58 seconds, so my timer has run out as far as like a song goes, but they still have another half a song. I'm gonna use that time to tune this. There we go. I don't know if that's in the song necessarily, but I have a 12 string now. I'll try to follow along a bit. Okay, second half of the song commences.
If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alone there. It's just a sprinkling for the May.
Okay, they're serious about that flat 7
Yes,
chord.
there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on.
Is that what it is?
And it makes me wonder.
There are those notes. I was missing those every single time. B, A, G, A.
Your head is humming and it won't go. In case you don't know, the piper's calling you to join him. Dear lady, can you hear the wind blow? And did you know
I think there's a little bit more to
your
the drum kit
stairway
here.
lies on the whispering wind?
Like it's more closed mic'd or something. Cool chord, I like that. I like this. That reminds me of More Than a Feeling. Good guitar solo, good guitar solo. Alright, land it, land it, land it. Doing good. Oh, twice as long, but he's still doing good. Oh, Bonzo filling right over you. This is the best guitar solo so far. Is that where that comes from? And Robert Plant gets the last word. The solo in that's the coolest thing that I've heard so far from the guitars, is that like solo in the middle. He like totally kept it on the rails. He was playing cool notes. The tone worked for it. When he did that little lick, I don't know that he's the guy who came up with that, but that's something that I think I heard some of that in like Metallica. When I did the Metallica episode, they did a little bit of that, or a variant on it, which is like the something like that. And to hear it here, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's like a total classic rock sound. I'm gonna find that again.
Still time to check
Nope.
first call.
Nope. 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 Is it this part? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. And then even there, when it goes to the little slide thing, it goes bam, bam. Like, that's a really good melody. And then the like the thing that fills in between there, another good thing. Call and response again. I think I like that section a lot. That's like a really cool full band thing. And then the very beginning, obviously, like the intro is awesome. Yeah. Yes, there is stuff in here. Totally get why it's iconic, and I like it too. Maybe it's just coincidence that the two places where Robert Plant isn't singing are the parts that I like a lot. Rock and roll! Oh yeah, I love this drum intro. This is really cool. And the band comes in and the kick drum is all mid-rangey and the guitars are all mid-rangey. I like this vocal a lot. I've always liked this vocal. I think that whatever like limiters they're using, whatever echo they're using is like, it creates a thing that feels very good to me. I feel like the drums are just back to a room mic now. Like, to me, the drums sound like when you play drums and then there's just like you're recording with an iPhone or something in the room. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just like a bunch of drums. More so than like separately recorded things and then each thing is fine-tuned. That's a delay in the center that's dry and louder than the original guitar. Like, guitar's on the left and then there's a delay in the center. Man, that guitar is, land on the floor? Are you kidding me? Sorry, I accept it is what it is. Where's this piano coming from? I've never noticed piano in here before. Oh, Robert's getting tired. He and Stuart. Yeah, this guy was a Rolling Stones guy. And he was removed before they started. Before they got big. All right, so part of Led Zeppelin's sound in rock and roll, I remember liking this song a lot. When I listened to that on purpose like that, yeah, same deal with the drum engineering where it's they put a mic in the room and then he played and then it's just like, oh, that's what it sounds like with that mic in the room. And then the guitars, the frequency response of those guitars, it almost reminds me of Queen, but like not as intentional, where like it's just the weirdest mid-range frequencies are like that's the frequency he's picking. For anyone who has no clue what I'm talking about when it comes to frequencies, I am going to start with like nothing. So no amp, no cab, no anything. And this is what a Gibson SG sounds like when you don't have anything on it at all. Okay, now to kind of simulate what a guitar cab does, I'm going to take a high pass and a low pass. And I'm just going to set those at like 90 hertz is good for the low pass, and then I'm going to take this down to like 7K. Okay, so now you don't notice that much of a difference there, but if I add a little bit of like distortion before that. Okay, cool. So now we have distortion going into this. This is what it sounds like when you start boosting mid-range frequencies. Or when you cut mid-range frequencies. So the Led Zeppelin stuff, it's just boosting some weird frequencies. I'm hearing like, what, 500 or something? Like that, and then maybe another one at like, 3K or something, and like... And so that's like the thing where... But that even seems too flattering, like there's something else going on. Maybe like there? Or is it even more like lower than that? No, it's definitely not down there. That's almost scooped. Like, I'm not saying that's the exact sound, but it's just this idea of like, there's such prominent mid-range frequencies happening that don't seem even natural to a guitar amp to me. Okay, next song, Over the Hills and Far Away. Oh, I know this song. Okay, all right. This is the second winner. We're having two winners because this is important. This is the second winner of the Oh, That's That Song award. Because I've heard so many takes on this at a guitar store or from one of my friends around a campfire, and I never realized that this was a Led Zeppelin song. And you know what? To be fair, my friends and the people at Guitar Center, they sounded exactly like this. Yeah, that's 12 string. All right, so when Jimmy Page is like finger picking acoustic guitar, like Stairway to Heaven, it can be pretty tasteful. And when he's strumming acoustic guitar, it sounds like the Beatles.
Got the love I need,
Whoa.
baby.
Zero reverb on that lead vocal.
Oh, darling, 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 walk a while with me.
Man, this is weird. This is a weird vocal.
Oh, you got so much, so much, so much.
What is this song? That's awesome.
Many times been bitten, many times I've gazed along the open road.
Man, he can hit that note. That's a D.
Many times I've lied, many times I've listened, many times I've wondered how much there is to know.
You know, the kick has more bass on this one. I like the kick drum best on this one so far. It's still kind of roomy, but like it's not as much.
Dreams come true, and somehow silver
And I like the bass.
I live for my dream, and a pocket full
Even the acoustic guitar on the right side right now is like it could be 90s rock, you know? It's like hanging in there. Yes, left and right, pan it left and right, you can do that. Is that a baritone guitar or a bass 6? Man, this has nothing to do with that intro.
Mel is a man who knows what he's been missing. Many, many men can't see the open road.
So when the acoustic guitar is mixed lower and it's panned off to the side, I'm completely fine with it. It does not like stick out as like
Is a word
ham-fisted at all. It's just when it was turned up really loud and like at the center of attention.
it's about a thing you really ought to know. Really ought to know. I really ought to know.
What is that? What is this weird overdub? Oh, that's just like a bleed from the vocal mic or something. They're doing that from like a different room. Is that keyboards? Okay, so out of everything so far that's been like creative, that ending is actually pretty creative. I like that ending. That was like, that put me in a setting and then kind of brought me in at the very end there. Had nothing to do with any of the rest of the song, but that's okay. Rock bands will change feel in the middle of a song. That's like established. We know that. Beatles did that. Everyone did that. So now I know, like, whenever I hear someone do that, like, whatever that thing is, I know that that is Over the Hills and Far Away by Led Zeppelin. All right, Diyar Makur. I have no idea what this is at all, and I will find out. What is happening? What in the Bob Marley doo-wop? Is he using whammy bar? Is he using like a Bigsby vibrato on that guitar that's doing the arpeggio? I don't think I'm out of tune. I think they're out of tune. I don't mind the guitar part, but man, that's disorienting. Robert Plant's kind of understated so far. I wonder if he starts screaming. He's teasing us. He's kind of getting up there. What is happening on that guitar? Alright, so I'm on the Wikipedia and it says the song was meant to imitate reggae. Yeah, you did it. Yeah, the song itself is a cross between a reggae and a 50s number. Yeah, that's what I said. Bob Marley doo-wop. I mean, they succeeded within like 10 seconds of the song. I was saying that. I like that drum fill. That is a cool drum sound for that drum fill. So like not a lot of reverb on that vocal, but there is a delay. Whoa! Man, that left guitar, it's playing with time, it's playing with pitch. A little speed up in that fill. It's gotta be the fade out, right? One more minute. I feel like I recognize that drum sound. Is this the When the Levee Breaks album? Houses of the Holy. No, it's not. Ugh. Man, he's whispering right into the mic. Oh man, Robert Plant just can't stop himself from just making noise. He has such a compelling voice, and he's having fun. And if I had a compelling voice like he has, I would be like just doing yeah, just over everything. I wonder if Jimmy Page was ever like, I'm trying to do a guitar lick here, Robert. Can I please do my all right, last last song for this one, we got Kashmir. Kashmir, which was recorded in 1975. It did not chart in 1975 from their Wikipedia, but it did chart in 2007, probably when their catalog was released on iTunes or something. And I know that this song is famous. I know that it was tuned to some Open D thing, and I know that it goes... something like that. Because I've almost only ever heard other people play the song. Let's see what it actually sounds like. 8 minutes, 37 seconds to go. Alright. Bright guitar. String section on the right. Drums. Snare has some interesting reverb on it.
Let the sun beat down upon my face.
Drums are still dry. Like, the actual tuning themselves is like very short, not ringy. Robert Plant's still doing his thing. Tons of reverb on his voice.
Sit with elders of the gentle race. This world is seldom seen. Talk of days for which they sit and wait. All will be revealed.
Guitar and trumpets. And now they're back together.
Talking songs from tongues of living grace. Sounds caress my ear. Not a word
I have no clue what that is. There's some warbling in there like an electric piano or something with vibrato on it. Back to F sharp, they're going to the third. Like straight up major chord. So, like, those lines are written. Like, everyone had to agree that that was the thing and they're going to do it together. Is that phasing on the drums? Yeah, he hits the cymbals and they start... They make whooshy sounds.
Sun burns the ground, and my eyes filled with sand as I scan this wasted land.
So one thing that Robert Plant's doing that I will absolutely give him credit for is I am 100% of the time bought into the fact that he is the lead singer of this band. wild amounts of confidence and wild amounts of style. Tons of confidence, tons of style. I am never doubting that he is, like, you know, in control of the room. He clearly is. He just makes these weird choices, man.
So it's insanity. He's the path that led me to that place, yellow desert screen. My Shangri-La beneath the summer moon. I will return again.
That's right.
When the movies catch me. Oh, farther up before winds fill my sails, across the sea of fear.
5 minutes, 37 seconds in. We got 2 minutes.
With no
3 minutes. We got 3 minutes to go.
Lord, the straits of fear.
One more radio length song.
Whoa,
The guitars in that part are just so, like, I don't even recognize it as a guitar tone. Like, they're so, like, bright.
when I want, when I'm on my way, yeah. When I see, when I see the way you stay.
Man, there's a couple times that kick drum just comes in, like, it's supposed to come in on 1 and it's coming in on, like, 4.6 or something. Like, it is rushing hard. I'm not talking pushes. I'm talking like we're missing a portion of a bar that was supposed to be there. Like, that bar's fingers got cut off. I don't know what instrument that is on the right. It's like the piano sounding thing. It's like an organ, but like a church organ, like a haunted house organ. Oh man, strings on the left are just like, they were rushing. Yeah, that was definitely Phaser on the drums. Cool drum fill. I didn't know Kashmir sounded like that, especially not at the end. I knew the banana, 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 banana. Like, I knew that part, but I didn't know the rest of that. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Like, all that outro stuff. All right. That's what Led Zeppelin actually sounds like. Here's some things about Led Zeppelin. These are not value judgments, and like, we can still be friends after this for sure. But just from what I heard, from what I literally heard just now, Led Zeppelin, empirically, like objectively, was not a tight band. That was not tight. Nothing that I just heard for the past hour was tight. They are loose. They are all over the place time-wise. They are all over the place like notes-wise. Like, I heard so many clunkers, like so many studio guys would say like clams, like just notes that are like not supposed to be there. Like even in Stairway to Heaven, whereas like the like there were those in there, little like dead notes in their most famous song, in the most famous guitar part. Yeah, like drummer John Bonham, he did some really cool stuff in there, and I know that he's like a hugely important drummer. He sped up, he slowed down, he did things that were seemingly intentional sometimes, obviously, when you change feel, and then some things that were just unintentional, where it's just like, Bonzo got excited and like just ended that bar early. Like that would happen. Or especially when it would be like a very minimal drum beat, like including this song, Kashmir, where he's just poots, cats, like just a very shaky beat, and then that's like all empirical. It's like you could like look at it on a chart and be like, oh yeah, the hi-hats are not equally spaced here, just as like a bare minimum kind of thing. And then the guitars, not always listening to the drums. They're just kind of like, they'll rush ahead and then they'll kind of like, oh shoot, and then they come back. The bass, not always together. There were a couple hits in there where it was like drums and guitars would be psh, and then the bass was like, oh shoot, me too. That all goes into this, and whoever, like the people who love Led Zeppelin, assuming they don't just like the t-shirts, this is the sound that they're talking about. And then as far as like tones, the drums, if you want Led Zeppelin drum sounds, put a mic anywhere. Just put it anywhere. It doesn't matter. This isn't like just put the drums in your kitchen and then put a mic, like just put it in the oven, and then like that's Led Zeppelin drum sounds. That's probably too flippant, but that's what that is. I mean, it's all mid-range. There's so little low end there. There's so little like honing in on like what is the point of a kick drum? Well, let's accentuate the point of this instrument and then like downplay the parts of it that are just kind of like annoying and getting in the way, and then same thing with snare drum, and then same thing with toms. One thing that is stylistic that I will say about the snare drum at least is like the snare drum never had any ring to it, ever. Like I don't know if he taped it down or what. In fact, this is something that I'm sure has been researched. So John Bonham snare drum sound. This has to exist. Snare drum, Ludwig Superphonic 14-inch. I'm going to do a video about drums one day, and I've done a bunch of tests already, and let me tell you that 14 inches, that's important to know, and there is no other useful information on this website, at least for like the sound that I'm talking about. 10 ways to sound like John Bonham Drum Magazine. All right, Drum Magazine. The gear. He's most widely documented configurations, history of rock. Most of us can recite it by now. Ludwig drums, 14 by 10 inch rack tom. That's a big rack tom. 16 by 16 inch and 18 by 16 inch floor toms. Those are big floor toms. Those are large sizes, like large diameters. 26 by 14 inch kick. That's a large kick drum. And the legendary LM 402, 14 by 6.5 inch superphonic snare drum. So a 14 inch snare, like everyone has. Peisty cymbals, giant beat in 2002 combined. 15-inch sound edge hi-hats. Those are pretty big hi-hats. 16, 18, 20 crashes and crash rides. 24-inch ride, that's a huge ride. And 38-inch symphonic gong. Maybe this is why sometimes like a big tour will have a gong. Like the drummer will just have a gong. And it looks huge. And it looks cool and interesting. Maybe this is why they do that, because he had a gong. Squeaky Speed King pedal, and a Ching Ring tambourine mounted on the hi-hat stand. Okay. Tell me about his heads. Crank the bottom heads. The main concept behind Bonham's tuning strategy was that he tensioned the resonant heads tighter than the batter heads. I feel like everyone does that. While there seems to be no general consensus on exactly how much tighter, The fact that the batter heads were tensioned rather tight themselves indicates that the resonant heads probably weren't much higher than the batters. Well, so hang on, what's the point of your headline? Crank the bottom heads. His tuning strategy was that he tensioned the resonant heads higher, and then it's like, probably not that much higher, though. All right, as far as the bass drum goes, Jeff Ochiltree, one of Bonham's drum techs, has revealed that to achieve his famous thump, both heads were tuned much higher than one might expect. Yeah, I would believe that. There's no low end. He attributes this to the fact that due to the drum's behemoth 26-inch diameter, the large amount of air that needed to move through the shell, air doesn't move through the shell, it moves through the air. The air moves through the air. It doesn't move through the wood. Okay, all right, had to travel very quickly to properly excite the resonant head. Yeah, through the air. This could also explain Bonham's preference for an unported front bass drum head. I would absolutely buy that. I would absolutely buy that a microphone got nowhere near the batter, like that it was locked out. That batter head was in a jail cell. The microphone could get nowhere near it. Yeah, okay, so completely closed front drum head. So the drum mic, the kick drum mic was just like, let's just put a mic somewhere, just like kind of near it. Whatever. If you measured, maybe it's 4 feet away from where the batter's hitting, but yeah, it's a kick drum head, right? Yeah, the band's super loud. Oh, it's going to get bleed from everything. But no, it's a kick drum mic. This could also explain... Yeah. Eddie Kramer once recalled a mere tap of his finger eliciting a timpani-like resonance from Bonham's front bass drum head during sessions for Houses of the Holy. This indicates that while Bonham was known for using felt strips to dampen his kick, that's important. Dampening is like an ingredient. He used only one on the batter side while in the studio. All right. Yeah, triplets, yeah, that's playing Get Behind the Beat, okay. Tell me about his other drum heads. Hang on. Heads. Okay. It was up here, I skipped over it, I'm sorry. These drums were always outfitted with Remo-coated Emperor heads. Yeah, same here for my toms at least. On the batter side, coated Ambassadors. On the resonant side, yeah, same here. The snare had an Emperor-coated batter and an Ambassador, sometimes Diplomat, snare side resonant head. Okay, sweet. So for people who don't know, and honestly, I barely know this, but Emperors are Remo's 2-ply head. They have 2 plies put together, they're thicker, and they're more durable, but also they ring less. Ambassadors are their 1-ply head, so they ring a little bit more because they're just 1 ply. And then Diplomat is their really thin 1-ply head, so it would ring the most, presumably. But he used the Ambassador and the Diplomat for the resonant heads. The reso heads are the opposite side. They're the bottoms. So batter side, that's the top, and then the reso side's the bottom. All it does is like resonate. You don't actually hit it. So if he's using a coated Emperor around the snare, I wonder if he had it taped down even more than that, though. The next sentence. Okay, hang on. Bonham preferred his coated heads to be pretty well worn for the ideal sound. Notice in any footage of him with a maple kit that beautiful brown-gray patina in the center of his coated heads. I don't know exactly how much that matters. Maybe if he is really playing the crap out of them to the point where the head is deformed, then that could reduce some of that ring. But I would honestly believe that he had like more to it than that, like more felt strips or something, taping it down, some gaff tape and some toilet paper, just because of how dry it all was. In a live setting, these drums offered increased volume and punchiness. Vista Light series, okay. The kit was outfitted with Remo clear controlled sound heads. Oh, that's a different kit? Okay, so the Vista Light kit was outfitted with Remo clear controlled head sounds, notable for their design featuring a black mylar reinforcement dot in the center. Yeah, okay. Sweet. And for the bass, we saw in that one picture he was playing the bass through like a Marshall amp. I guess I'll do that now. Okay, so this is a bass not through a Marshall. And then this is a bass through a Marshall. So a little bit of grit and some EQ, and that's what that is. Next segment, one piece of gear. So I talk about gear a lot on my YouTube channel, and people who watch me tend to like gear and they want to know about gear, and I get emails and stuff about gear. I don't want that to be a focus of this show necessarily, so I'm just saving it for this one segment. I'll introduce you to one thing per episode. Over the course of all the episodes, you'll get to know all the different things that I use to make music. So this is my acoustic guitar, and this is a Bourgeois Banjo Killer Brian Sutton Signature 2006, number 4. And I got this because of luck, a lot of luck that this was even for sale at all. But yeah, I always wanted to know how to play acoustic like Brian Sutton. I ended up meeting Brian Sutton, and I asked him, hey, what do you think you played on like this music? And the answer, of course, is like, he has no memory of any of that. That was one day in his life a long time ago. But he did remember playing this on the song Free and Easy Down the Road I Go. And that's the kind of thing that this would be for. This is a big, loud, bluegrassy acoustic guitar. It's not a Martin, and it's not really a Martin D18 style, but it is like a big, loud thing. And so I thought, okay, if I have one acoustic guitar, then it would be this one. Like this is the thing that is kind of the thing that I would want. Since then, I've learned that there's a lot of other acoustic sounds too, and I also like those. So there are a couple other acoustic instruments in this house that I really enjoy, but as far as like the acoustic guitar, this is the one I splurged on. This is my luxury item, and every time I pick it up, I'm trying to earn the right to be able to call this my own guitar. So yeah, Bourgeois Slope D Banjo Killer 2006 with a cool bear claw Sitka top. I don't know if it's coming through on the camera. Inspired by Brian's own Banjo Killer that unfortunately got ruined in the Nashville flood in 2010. All right, next segment. One thing I think. Ready? One thing I think. I think that my favorite TV show is the TV show Community. If you like the TV show Community, then we will get along. We can talk about that and make jokes for the rest of our lives, and we will never run out. Seasons 1 through 3 especially, I had the DVDs of those with me in college, and whenever I had downtime, I'd throw those on in the background, and I'd throw on the commentaries. I eventually wore out like the episodes themselves and just had those memorized. I moved on to the commentaries, and that's when I fell in love with everyone who created or worked on that show. Very fun to listen to, like the most fun commentaries to listen to of anything. So seasons 1 through 3, especially of Community, before the creator got fired and then came back. And when he came back, that was cool too. But, you know, it was just a bit different. Those first 3 seasons are so funny. Donald Glover is so funny. Danny Pudi is so funny. Gillian Jacobs is so funny. Alison Brie, like everyone. They're all great. Like, it's so fun. So that's my favorite TV show. There's other TV shows that I've liked in the past. And honestly, I haven't kept up with TV basically at all. Like, I never watched Game of Thrones. I never watched Mad Men. I haven't watched Severance. I haven't watched, you know, House of the Dragon or any of the popular shows that are on like now. I just haven't had time for it. But back when I was watching more TV, Community really hit the spot for me. And before I plug the B-side, I have one more story. One more story for this episode. I saved it to the end because my takeaway from this story would kind of be undercut if I told it right away. Even telling it at all is kind of like, But when I was in college, I worked at an on-campus music store. In this music store, it was like student-run. We sold some guitar strings. We mostly sold nothing, and I mostly just spent the time like standing behind the counter and like practicing like to a metronome, you know, like just honing skills while no one else was in the place. But I was in there one day, and another guy was working there. We were both like working there. We were occupying that room, and a guy comes in, and he is like an older guy. He has like a black kind of like almost kind of fuzzy felt coat on. Scarf comes in, and he asks, "Do you guys have a Nashville Scene magazine?" So old British guy, British accent, asked for a Nashville Scene. He had like gray hair, like curly gray hair, like long curly gray hair, British accent, a beard. And me and the other guy, like the old British dude's between us. I'm behind the desk. The other guy is around him. I make contact with the other guy, and we both go like this. Our eyes get wide. We lock eyes with each other. We both acknowledge silently, wordlessly in the moment. That's Robert Plant. Robert Plant came into the music store and asked if we had this certain magazine. I'm guessing that he had worked on, or a friend had worked on something that had come out recently or had an article in the magazine, and he wanted to check it out. We did not have a Nashville scene. And I was like, oh, sorry, we don't have those. And he was like, oh, no problem. And then like walked out. And then we were both like, that was Robert Plant, right? And yeah, that was Robert Plant. Like, I mean, I'm not a huge Led Zeppelin fan, but I know what Robert Plant looks like. I'm definitely more of an Alison Krauss fan, and I knew that Alison Krauss had like a whole duet album with him, and so I knew Please Read the Letter, and I knew Gone, Gone, Gone. I'd seen him in the music videos. I knew what Robert Plant looked like. And we were like, wow, that's so crazy. That's so cool. And it made me realize, and that's the tidbit that I go back to with any of my friends who like ask about, famous people or whatever. It's just like, I saw Robert Plant in a music store I was working at. He came in looking for a magazine, and we didn't have it. That's the whole story. And for me, it became one of the most exciting stories that I could tell anyone, because it's Robert Plant and he asked for a magazine. But think of it from his point of view. He just was looking for a magazine. Literally everything he does his entire life, every coffee he orders, every time he's stopped at a stoplight, anytime anyone notices him and clocks like, that's Robert Plant, that's the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. Like everywhere he goes, he's just leaving behind him these unremarkable stories for everyone else who sees and registers that's who he is. And that's what famous people are, and that is what they are combating all the time. I don't feel a lot of sympathy because most of those people got there very purposefully. Like, there were accidents along the way and there's a lot of luck, but like they, a lot of them they greenlit the billboard with their face on it at some point. But that thing of like, you don't even have to talk to someone and it becomes a story for them. And holy crap, you better hope that you don't have salad in your teeth, and you better hope that you're not having a bad day, and that you don't accidentally not see someone who's reaching out for a high five, because then you're the guy who didn't give him a high five. And yeah, that was my first earliest exposure into like what a super, super famous person must endure everywhere they go. And now I get to use that for a story on my podcast. Plugging the B-side. What's the B-side? So every time I do one of these, this one was Led Zeppelin, I do a companion to that. And that's going to be on Patreon, which is patreon.com/actuallysoundslike. So if you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed seeing me do a deep dive into Led Zeppelin that I otherwise would not have probably done, but now I know a little bit more about what Led Zeppelin is, what that means, and if someone really does love the sound of the band, if they're not just trying to sound cool during an interview, or if they're not just like playing along with the rest of the people, yeah, Led Zeppelin, right? Yeah. If they actually do like the sound, this is that sound. We explored that sound. We understand a little bit of what that means. And the next one I'm going to do is another band that I know almost nothing about, but is in this time period and is in this genre, and that is Pink Floyd. I know barely anything about Pink Floyd, and I'm excited to see what Pink Floyd's all about. So if you want to hear that, join me on the Patreon, patreon.com/actuallysoundslike, and I'll see you in the next one.